kind of a blur. You really have to think about it. We talk all the time about the details and kind of clash a little bit on thinking, but you were just in like
survival
crisis
mode.
mode, survival mode, you know. You just kind of do what you have to do. We came up every morning for a couple of hours during rounds, and we'd go home for a little bit and come back in the evening. You know, Hagen was here. We were trying to spend time with him, yet kind of figure out what was going on with Myles and understand what was going on with Myles.
And because we had twins, she and I kind of had a different experience here. So when we would come, she would be nursing this little guy, all 4 pounds of him. Look how big he is now. And I would then spend time with Myles, and then we would kind of switch off. And so for the first few days, they were in separate pods. They were in separate parts of the NICU. So we really were just totally separated. But then the nursing staff worked to put them next to each other, and that helped. So that kept us together. But we kind of had different experiences, I think, where she was loving on this guy and feeding him, and I was kind of asking a lot of questions and writing a lot of things down.
We met in here about a week before Myles passed. We had a care conference with surgeons, doctors, physician assistants, nurses, and us, and they kind of laid it all out and kind of told us.
The strategy was the hope, wait, and pray. And when doctors tell you that's your strategy, that's not a real good place to be in. But, you know, we set incremental goalposts, and we just started to try and achieve them. But the room was a lot different. It almost felt more like a storage closet. And they had told us that if Myles were to, if his body were to grow tired, that we could come here and use this room to be with him, but it didn't really feel like a good place to us. And so instead we chose to stay next to his isolette.
I would love to would have had this room then, because we had grandparents come in and aunts and uncles and hold him and be with him. So this would have been a lot more laid back than hearing the beeping and, you know, the monitors and.
But the staff let us know the whole time that we could have as much time as we needed, and they actually told us about some resources that were available to help us. And one was Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. It's volunteer photographers that come in and take portraits of babies who've grown their wings, and so. It was really important that the staff let us know that we could have the time and space that we needed, because nobody really teaches you how to mourn or how to grieve, but they did a really good job of trying to teach us.
I think the biggest fear for a parent in our situation is that their baby will be forgotten, and I know here that he's not. It's kind of a way for us to remember him, but to also kind of to see the people that meant so much to us in that time of our lives. So we know that they won't forget him.
You know, we say it often, but kind of choose joy. So there's a lot of ways to get bogged down in the sadness, but then there's also a lot of ways you can celebrate the life. And that doesn't mean I don't find myself crying, but just choose joy and choose to celebrate. So we, on his Angelversary, we choose to do something that's nice to, you know, to not mourn, but also to celebrate. You know, I think the NICU does a really good job of kind of straddling that line of just being a clinical hospital, but also a place that has a lot of love and compassion with the nursing staff and with the physicians. And this room could be really clinical and cold, but they've done a lot to make it more warm and more comforting for families. I think we leave a story, and our story isn't drastically different than anyone else's, but your story is something someone can't really take from you and they can't argue with. And so the more you can share your story and folks can find comfort in something that you've done in your life, I think that's what we leave behind, is just sharing our child's memory, but also what we went through and what we dealt with.